The Sukhoi Superjet 100 is a modern fly-by-wire regional jet in the 100 to 108-seat category. With development initiated in 2000, the airliner was designed and spearheaded by Sukhoi, a division of the Russian civil aerospace company, in cooperation with several foreign partners. Its maiden flight was conducted on May 19, 2008. On April 21, 2011, the Superjet 100 undertook its first commercial passenger flight, on the Armavia route from Yerevan to Moscow. Designed to compete internationally with its An-158, Embraer and Bombardier counterparts, the Superjet 100 claims substantially lower operating costs, at a lower purchase price of $35 million. The final assembly of the Superjet 100 is done by Komsomolsk-on-Amur Aircraft Production Association. Its SAM-146 engines are designed and produced by the French-Russian Powerjet joint venture, and the aircraft is marketed internationally by the Italian-Russian Superjet International joint venture. Development of the Sukhoi Superjet 100 began in 2000. On December 19, 2002, Sukhoi Civil Aircraft and Boeing signed a medium-term cooperation agreement to work together on the design. Boeing consultants had already been advising Sukhoi on marketing, design, certification, manufacturing, program management and after-sales support for a year. On October 10, 2003, the technical board of the project selected the suppliers of major subsystems. The project officially passed its third stage of development on March 12, 2004, meaning that Sukhoi could now start selling the Superjet 100 to customers. On November 13, 2004, the Superjet 100 passed the fourth stage of development, implying that the Superjet 100 was now ready for commencing of prototype production. In August 2005, a contract between the Russian government and Sukhoi was signed. Under the agreement, the Superjet 100 project would receive 7.9 billion rubles of research and development financing under the federal program titled Development of Civil Aviation in Russia in 2005 Euro 2009. International participation. Flight testing. On January 28, 2007, the first SSJ was transported by an Antonov 124 from Komsomolsk-on-Amur to the city of Zhukovsky near Moscow for ground tests at Zhukovsky Central Aerohydrodynamic Institute. A representative of Sukhoi Civil Aircraft announced on November 13, 2007, the completion of static tests necessary for conducting the first flight. The Superjet was unveiled at its official rollout at Komsomolsk-on-Amur's MG Airport on September 26, 2007. In February 2008, initial test runs of the SAM-146 engine were successful. An Ilyushin Il-76 testbed, operated by the Gromov Flight Research Institute, was also used in the engine testing. On May 19, 2008, the first test flight of the Superjet took place from Zemgy Airport, at the Komsomolsk-on-Amur Aircraft Production Association. On July 2008, testing continued successfully. By October 2008, the first stage of Sukhoi Superjet 100's factory-based flight testing program was successfully completed. The second SSJ-100 prototype had also been flown and the certification process was started. In December 2008, the second of four SSJ-100 prototypes SN95003 took to the skies. The aircraft performed standard stability and handling quality tests as well as systems checks in accordance with the first flight assignment. Flight test engineers and pilots were pleased with the overall performance of the second prototype. The deliveries were first scheduled to begin in late 2008. And Sukhoi predicted that 3 units of all variations of the Superjet 100 would be delivered by the end of 2016. On July 7, 2008, Sukhoi officially confirmed that the original schedule was too optimistic, and first deliveries would begin in December 2009. As of January 2009, the first 2 aircraft had completed over 80 flights, totaling around 2,300 hours in flight and ground tests. On April 1, 2009, 2 Superjet 100 prototypes, 95001 and 95003, successfully completed the first long-distance flight for this aircraft, covering a distance of 3,000 kilometers from Novosibirsk to Moscow. On April 17, 2009, EASA pilots performed the first test flights on the two prototypes. According to EASA pilot feedback, the aircraft was easy to fly. On July 26, 2009, the third of four SSJ-100 prototypes flew. At the Paris Air Show 2009, Mala Copyright v Hungarian Airlines said that it would purchase 30 Superjets worth $1 billion, providing a welcome boost to sales as it made its international debut at the 2009 Paris Air Show. As of June 2009, 13 aircraft were under construction, with the first 4 scheduled to be handed over to clients by the end of 2010. After 2012, the company will build 70 Superjets per year. Armenian Armavia would receive the first 2 aircraft, followed by Aeroflot, which has ordered a total of 30 aircraft with an option for 15 more. Other customers include Russia's Avialeasing Company, Swiss Arma Asset Management Advisor and Indonesian Kartika Airlines. On December 29, 2009, United Aircraft Corporation head Alexei Fyodorov said that deliveries of the Superjet 100 have been indefinitely delayed because the engines were not ready. On February 4, 2010, the fourth prototype SSJ flew. Owing to delays in production of the engines, including quality problems at the NPO Saturn factory, it used the engines removed from the first prototype. On May 28, 2010, all engine tests necessary for certification were completed. The final trial was a simulation of an encounter with a flock of birds. Flight management system tests were completed on November 19, 2010. The FMS CMA 9000 was developed by Canada's Esterline CMC Electronics for the Thales avionics suite. Certification. On July 6, 2010, Deputy Industry and Trade Minister Denis Manturov, who heads the commission to monitor the implementation of the Sukhoi Superjet program, wrote to Industry and Trade Minister Viktor Kristenko about the progress of the aircraft's certification in early June. Data from May 28, 2010 showed that the certification process was getting behind schedule, with most of the problems related to the SAM-146 engine, developed by PowerJet, which is a joint project between the Russian Saturn and the French Snecma. Work on its final design had been almost completed and certification was more than 90% completed, but problems remain, noted Manturov. In September 2010, the CEO of Superjet International said that certification was expected in November 2010. In October 2010, the Sukhoi Superjet 100 passed noise testing carried out under the auspices of Russian and European certification authorities. On November 4, 2010, the first production Superjet intended for Armavia was test-flown. By November 2010, the SSJ test fleet had flown 2,245 hours during 948 flights. On December 21, 2010, Superjet 100 passed emergency evacuation and interrupted takeoff test at Ramenskoye Airport near Zhukovsky, near Moscow, under the supervision of the Interstate Aviation Committee Aviation Register and the European Aviation Safety Agency. The first test required 98 volunteers of different age groups and 5 crew members to evacuate the aircraft in 90 seconds during an emergency landing. They made it in 73 seconds. The interrupted takeoff test probed the wheels, tires and brakes at maximum possible braking speed. In full compliance with the certification requirements, the test was performed without a thrust reverser. The aircraft loaded to its maximum takeoff weight performed emergency braking at a speed of over 300 km/h and came to a stop after running 700 meters, within the required parameters. On February 3, 2011, the Interstate Aviation Committee granted a type certificate for Sukhoi Superjet 100. The type certificate confirms compliance of the SSJ-100 with the airworthiness regulations, and it authorizes the commercial operation of the airliner. On February 3, 2012, the European Aviation Safety Agency issued Type Certificate 176 for the Sukhoi Superjet 100, confirming that the aircraft complies with the EASA airworthiness and environmental requirements. The certification also makes it possible for airlines operating in countries using EASA rules to accept and operate the aircraft. The extensive validation program included several dedicated flight and ground tests. Design requirements. In the Russian domestic market, the Sukhoi Superjet 100 is intended to replace the aging Tupolev Tu-134 and Yakovlev Yak-42 aircraft. Internationally, the new Superjet 100 will compete against the Embraer E-jets and the Bombardier CRJ programs. The SSJ aims for lower operating costs than its competitors for the price of $23 a €25 million. According to Sukhoi, ongoing certification tests confirmed that the aircraft's direct operating costs are €8% lower than those of its key competitor, the Embraer 190/195. In terms of total fuel burn per sector, the SSJ is on a par with the Antonov An-148 but can accommodate 22 more passengers. The aircraft's design meets the specific requirements of airlines in Russia, the CIS, the USA and the EU, and conforms to the aviation rules April 25, FAR 25, JAR 25 requirements and to the ground noise level requirements under ICAO Chapter 4 and FAR 36 Section 4 standards entering into force during 2006. From the beginning, the SSJ has been designed to meet all Western aviation standards. The Superjet uses PowerJet SAM-146 turbofan engines developed by PowerJet that provide 60 to 78 kilonewtons of thrust. The noise and emissions levels satisfy the existing ICAO requirements. Industry participation. The Superjet 100 has been described as the most important and successful civil aircraft program of the Russian aerospace industry. It enjoys considerable support from the Russian Ministry of Industry and Trade, which regards it as a top priority project. Excluding the SAM-146 engine, development of the Superjet 100 cost about $1.4 billion, with 25% of this amount funded from the federal budget. The Superjet 100 is the first new civil non-amphibious jet aircraft developed in post-Soviet Russia. Over 30 foreign partnership companies are involved in the project. Development, manufacturing and marketing of the aircraft's SAM-146 jet engine is being done by the PowerJet Company, a joint venture between the French SNECMA and Russia's NPO Saturn. Superjet International, a joint venture between Alenia Aeromaki and Sukhoi, is responsible for marketing in Europe, the Americas, Africa, Japan and Oceania. The assembly line for all versions of the Superjet is located in the facilities of Komsomolsk-on-Amur Aircraft Production Association in the Russian Far East, while Novosibirsk Aircraft Production Association focuses on component production. The two companies have been heavily investing in upgrading of their facilities and were expected to produce 70 airframes by 2012. List of companies: Project Leader, United Aircraft Corporation, Strategic Partner, Alenia Aeromaki, Risk Sharing Partner, SNECMA, Main Designer, Sukhoi, Consultant, Boeing, Aircraft Main System Suppliers, Thales, Liebherr, Messier Darty with 000THTH squared THTH degree TH cubed N Euro TH micron TH cubed TH degree N, Ulyanovsk, Vision Systems, Intertechnique, BE Aerospace, Curtiss-Wright Controls, Honeywell, IPECO, Parker Hannifin, Hamilton Sundstrand, Meggitt Vibrometer, St. Gobain Sully, Ersel, SAMCO, Goodrich Corporation. Engines, PowerJet, Mass Production, NARPO, NAPO, Orders and Deliveries, Timeline, August 2005 at MAKS 2005 AA Euro Finance Leasing Company and Sukhoi Civil Aircraft sign a sales contract for 10 aircraft of the newer J family for $262 million. December 2005 AA Euro Aeroflot signs the contract for the delivery of 30 Sukhoi Superjet 100s, thus becoming the program's launch customer. The total deal is valued at approximately $820 million. December 2006 AA Euro Sukhoi Civil Aircraft wins a $170 million order from Delovia Far East Airways. May 2007 Euro Aeroflot and Sukhoi Civil Aircraft Company announces the signature of the letter of intent to purchase 15 aircraft of Sukhoi Superjet 100 family. Earlier, Aeroflot had already signed the contract for delivery of 30 SSJ-100s. According to the letter, the airline will purchase 15 SSJ-100/95s in basic configuration with deliveries to start in May 2011. The airline also holds an option for another 5 aircraft of the family. The deal amounts at over $400 million. September 2007 Euro Armavia signs a multi-million-dollar agreement to buy 4 SSJ-100-95LR Superjets for regional flights. July 2008 Euro Avia Leasing acquires 24 Sukhoi Superjet 100 aircraft in basic configuration with an option for 16 additional aircraft on the second day of the 2008 Farnborough Air Show. The order has a total value of over $630 million. Order firmed at Paris Air Show on June 16, 2009. July 2008 Euro Superjet International announces an order by an undisclosed renowned European customer for a fleet of 20 new Sukhoi Superjet 100 aircraft valued at approximately $600 million. December 5, 2008, Jakarta Euro Sukhoi Civil Aircraft Company and Kartika Airlines sign the heads of agreement for 15 Sukhoi Superjet 100s and another 15 optional aircraft. The order is valued at $448 million. Kartika Airlines is the first SSJ-100 customer in Southeast Asia. June 17, 2009, Paris Air Show Euro Gazprom orders 10 Superjet 100 aircraft. August 21, 2009 Euro Yaksha Airlines orders 2 Superjet 100 aircraft. May 2010 Euro Laos-based newcomer Phongsavan Airlines plans to launch services in 2012 and buy 3 Sukhoi J-95 Superjet 100s. June 23, 2010 Euro European Aviation Safety Agency certification for the Superjet engine SAM 146. July 19, 2010 Euro Sukhoi Civil Aircraft and Indonesia's regional carrier Kartika Airlines sign $951 MLN deal on 30 SSJ-100s. July 20, 2010 Euro Orient Thai Airlines to buy at least 12 Superjet 100s from Sukhoi. July 21, 2010 Euro Superjet International scores order for 30 Superjets, 15 options. September 1, 2010 Euro Aeroflot announced that as part of his plan to order additional domestic aircraft it planned to purchase an additional 10 aircraft in addition to its 30 prior orders. September 2, 2010 Euro Superjet International signs agreement up to $300 million. November 24, 2010 Euro Thailand's Orient Thai Airlines announced the purchase of 12 Sukhoi Superjet 195th BS civilian aircraft. January 17, 2011 Euro Mexico's third-largest airline Interjet signed a $650 million deal for 15 Sukhoi Superjet 100 civilian aircraft, with an option to purchase 5 more. It is the North American launch customer and is the first and, so far, the only airline of the Americas to order a Sukhoi Superjet 100. February 3, 2011 Euro Sukhoi Superjet 100 obtained IACAR type certificate. April 19, 2011 Euro The first production aircraft was delivered to Armavia, celebrated with a ceremony in the Armenian capital Yerevan. April 21, 2011 Euro The first commercial flight of Sukhoi Superjet 100 with 90 passengers from Zveretanets International Airport, Yerevan, Armenia to Sheremetyevo International Airport, Moscow. June 16, 2011 Euro Aeroflot Russian Airlines Superjet 100 completed its first passenger flight operating from Sheremetyevo International Airport, Moscow, to Pulkovo International Airport, St. Petersburg. June 17, 2011 Euro Aeroflot Russian Airlines Superjet 100 completed its first scheduled flight operating from Sheremetyevo International Airport, Moscow, to Nizhny Novgorod International Airport, Nizhny Novgorod. October 9, 2011 Akomlux becomes the launching customer of Superjet International for this new type of VIP aircraft, March 19, 2012 are all 7 Superjet planes in service grounded to have landing gear defect repaired. Within a week the whole fleet will have repairs conducted, said a company spokesperson, 3 days after an Aeroflot Superjet made an unscheduled landing at Moscow Yerevan registered trademark Sheremetyevo Airport, May 9, 2012. A crash during a demonstration flight in Indonesia, with 45 fatalities and no survivors. May 10, 2012. Pakistan's Air Indus allegedly showed an interest in buying 8 SSJ-100 planes. June 21, 2012. Transaero, Russia's number 2 carrier, signs a deal to buy up to 16 SSJ-100 with delivery date starting 2015. June 18, 2013. Mexico's Interjet received its first Superjet 100 by Sukhoi at the Paris Air Show. Another 19 Superjet 100s are due to be delivered in the coming months. Operational history. The first production Sukhoi Superjet was delivered to Armavia on April 19, 2011. The handover ceremony was held at Zvezdnots International Airport in Yerevan on the same day. The aircraft was named Yuri Gagarin, after the first man to venture into space almost exactly 50 years before. Armavia planned to operate its Superjet 100 on flights between Yerevan, Sochi and Ukrainian cities, including Odessa and Simferopol. The airline had expected to receive its second Superjet in June 2011. On December 16, 2012, Mikhail Bagdizarov, owner of bankrupt Armavia, stated that both of his ordered airplanes had been returned to Sukhoi Civil Aircraft Company. He was also quoted as saying that the SSJ-100 is not operated by the company anymore. Sukhoi Civil Aircraft has possession of the jet, and Armavia had decided not to receive any aircraft. Armavia's website did not show that it is not operating Sukhoi Superjet 100s as of February 2013. However, it ceased operations in March 2013, entry into service. On April 21, 2011, the first commercial flight of Sukhoi Superjet 100 by Armavia Airline landed at Sheremetyevo International Airport, Moscow at 4:45 MSK, carrying 90 passengers from Zvezdnots International Airport, Yerevan. The flight took about 2 hours and 55 minutes. Armavia used the Airbus A319 on its Yerevan to Moscow route and had a plan to switch to the Superjet 100. In August 2012, Armavia announced that they had returned both of its SSJ-100s to the manufacturer. The president of United Aircraft Corporation and general director of Sukhoi Mikhail Pogosyan hailed the event as a key milestone for the Superjet 100 project, saying that it opened a new stage of the program, the beginning of commercial operation and full-scale serial production. The aircraft was put into commercial operation within an unprecedented short time after delivery. For the first week of service, the SSJ-100 accumulated 24 flights, flying to Moscow, Athens, Donetsk, Aleppo, Tehran, Tel Aviv and Astrakhan. On May 1, the Superjet made its first regular flight to Venice. In March 2012, the deputy chief engineer of the Department of Aviation and Technical Support of Aeroflot Konstantin Muniat revealed in the Russian daily newspaper Vedomosti that Aeroflot is asking Sukhoi for compensation since the 6 Superjet 100s it operates are in the air only 3.9 hours a day on average instead of the standard 8 to 9 hours. Breakdowns were caused by failures due to technical problems and delayed delivery of parts. In February 2013, SCA stated in a press release that such problems are usual in newly operational and recently introduced airliners and minimized the claims. At the end of October 2013, Interjet confirmed outstanding results in terms of operations. As of October 31, the 2 Interjet SSJ-100 have completed almost 600 flight hours, over 580 flight cycles during their commercial operations, with an average daily utilization of 9.74 block hours, and a dispatch reliability of 99.03%. Dispatch reliability of Interjet's fleet of 7 SSJ-100 increased to 99.7% as of June 2014. Variants: the 3 variants were originally called the Arud J60, Arud J75 and Arud J95. with the numbers designating the average passenger capacity of each type. However, with the renaming of the project to Superjet 100, the RRJ-75 was relabeled the Superjet 100/75, while the RRJ-95 became known as the Superjet 100/95. The smallest variants were postponed, and efforts are currently concentrating on the Superjet 100/95. The long-range variant is about to be certified with a VIP variant, based on SSJ 100/95LR to follow. It is unlikely that the Superjet 100/75 will be developed, but stretched versions, seating 115 to 145 passengers, are planned. Specifications, sources, Sukhoi Civil Aircraft Company, Superjet International, Power Jet. Accidents and incidents. On May 9, 2012, a Russian Sukhoi Superjet 100 airliner, on a demonstration flight with 37 passengers and 8 Russian crew members on board, crashed after it took off from the Halim Perdanakusuma Airport in Jakarta, Indonesia. About 20 minutes after the takeoff, the crew requested permission to descend to 1,800 meters, which was granted. This was the last contact that air traffic control had with the aircraft, which was then about 139 kilometers south of Jakarta, in the vicinity of the 2,211-meter high Mount Salak, a mountain higher than the requested flight level. After an extensive search, rescuers concluded, based on the widespread debris field on the side of a ridge, that the aircraft directly struck the rocky side of Mount Salak and there was no chance of survival. An official inquiry into the crash found that the plane's automatic collision avoidance system was working, but had been ignored by the pilot, who was possibly distracted by his conversation with a potential customer for the aircraft. On July 21, 2013, a Russian Sukhoi Superjet 100 airliner, prototype aircraft 95005, landed gear up at the Keflavik International Airport near Keflavik, Iceland when, during evaluation of the automatic landing system, the landing gear had not been extended. The aircraft was repaired and it flew again on December 27, 2013. See also: related development, Sukhoi Superjet 130, aircraft of comparable role, configuration and era, Airbus A318, Antonov 148, Boeing 737 Euro 600, Bombardier CRJ 700 series, Bombardier Series, Comac ARJ21, Embraer E-Jets E-Jets-E2, Irkut MC-21, Mitsubishi MRJ-70/MRJ-90, Tupolev Tu-334, related lists, list of airliners, references, notes. Bibliography. External links, Sukhoi Superjet official website, Sukhoi Superjet 100 unveils Pininfarina interior, Sukhoi Company. The ceremony of unveiling the Sukhoi Superjet 100 video report from Russia Today, Superjet 100 at United Aircraft Corporation website, Superjet to be tested for strength or Euro or IA Novosti, Russia's new airliner readies for takeoff by Jason Bush, Business Week, September 26, 2007, Superjet 100 LR, questions and answers.